I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Hi, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. I hope you're doing well. Had a kind of busy day today, but I wanted to talk to you about my morning because it was really kind of eye-opening for me. Not that it was unusual, but the fact that I started thinking hard about it. Earlier today, I had breakfast, as I do a couple days a week, down at Tequila Reef. Usually there at 8 o'clock, usually done by 10 and head home. Arlen's ready to start the day with whatever errands we need to get done by then. But I ran into two gentlemen. They're expats. They've been in country about 7 months. They're good buddies. Previous to the Philippines, they were in Doha or in the Middle East. And they're planning on being here probably another 4 to 6 months. Now, what made this interesting is that the conversation we had. And then I started thinking, hold on, how's that conversation so relevant to expats? So let me try and put this into a social construct here. Human beings are social animals. All right? Now, there are exceptions to every rule. There are isolationists. There are people who don't want to be around other expats. There are expats that don't like expats, and there are many reasons. One of the reasons is that they just don't want to compare their life to the same people that ruined their life where they come from in their mind. They feel that they don't want to be taken advantage of by people. They don't want to deal with what they call bullshit because it's a difference of opinion. They're not able to articulate and have conversations when it comes to having a difference of opinion without interjecting a personal defensive posture. And that's fine. All right? We all have people we don't agree with. That happens. But what happens when you shut off all of those people? The gentleman that I met today, never met them before. I have seen one of them before, and I have spoken and said good morning or hello, or even maybe asked them a question, hey, where are you from, in the past, one of them. But I've never had a conversation with either one of them. This morning I had a conversation with them. So I'm at Tequila Reef. A couple of bloggers dropped by for one blogger drops by for breakfast this morning, and we talk about things going on around town and what we're up to. Another expat who just recently had a baby, and really tremendously great guy, young guy. He's actually young. His wife is young. They just had a baby. He works for the federal government over in Hawaii, and he was here. They're getting all of their paperwork together to bring her to the U.S. and to bring their child to the U.S. And he plans on coming back to the Philippines to retire, or at least partially retire down the road. But either way, that doesn't matter. What does matter is these two guys. I said that by nature, Human beings are social creatures. We live in families. We're raised in families. That's a social construct. Okay. We create states, countries, cities, villages as social constructs. We are social people. Our cultures, religions, I mean, the driving factors for being social are there. Now, with that being said, hey, there are exceptions to every rule, and there are people that just don't want to be around others. But when you do that, when you become an isolationist, what do you give up? In your mind, as an isolationist, you may give up nothing of any value, and that's fine. But for those of you that are tourists that are coming, or tourists that are exploring to move to the Philippines, or retirees that are preparing to move, or people exploring becoming a retiree here, think about that social construct for a couple of minutes. What it really means, more than anything, is the ability to carry on a conversation, or the ability to carry on a conversation that is flowing very rapidly, which is hard to do with a Filipina or Filipino. And that's not because they don't understand anything. If you've ever listened to Filipinos speak to each other, their conversations are very fast and kind of excited sometimes. I mean, I can't tell if my wife is cussing out her sister or wishing her happy birthday. But the point is their conversations are very fluid, but they're switching to a secondary language. And so it slows them down just a little bit, or it slows down a lot of them just a little bit. Secondarily to that, they're not attuned to the current events in the world. I'm not going to say in your country, because you may say, look, I left my country because I didn't like it. Why would I give a shit what the current events are? Well, I could think of a lot of reasons why you would, but we're not going to go into it. My point is you should care about what the current events in the world are, because they could very quickly impact you here. Being able to have those conversations is really a godsend, because when you talk to other people, you hear their opinions. You see, the one common item that isolationists have is arrogance, because they don't look at and get involved in conversations about other things, and they explore different points of views than their own, and they have good, solid, friendly debates about those difference of opinions. They become very arrogant. They are set in their ways when it comes to that, and it's their decision. Whereas if you have a social output and social input, well, now you get to, if you're lucky, and apparently we're lucky, you get to voice your opinion as a sounding board, and you get to receive the opinions of others. And all of a sudden, it may open your eyes to other ideas. You may think, I never thought about it like that. Maybe I should think about it like that. For instance, the gentlemen this morning just happened to be two men of color. All right? Educated, retired, smart guys, both of them. We had a long conversation about we started a conversation based on the terrible tragedy out in, I think it was Baltimore, where, these dozens of people got wounded and a couple people got killed. All right. But we carried on as we're talking about things. We're talking about the latest things in the news, And we stay away from political events. But this came up, the recent Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action and its precedent setting challenges in the future. Then we started talking about affirmative action. These are compelling conversations, and they open your eyes to other views. Okay? Now, I'm not going to say what we talked about exactly, and I'm not going to say they took this point and I took this point, and none of that. What I am going to say is it was an engaging conversation. And this is not unusual when I go out and have breakfast, or I go out and run into other expats, or I go out where other expats are. So you can sit there and complain that you don't want to be around other expats, and you have your reasons for it, and I completely understand it. And I don't want to live in a place that's full of expats. Why would I want to do that? You may not. And you are entitled to that. You are, it is totally your prerogative, and that's great. But for most of us, and you can look at the total number of expats in the major cities and the total number of expats that the Philippine Statistic Authority said cross the threshold here on an annual basis. And you'll find that 75% of them live in 3 of the major cities. They do that because it's a social issue, and being a part of that and having that outlet is something that people sometimes crave. But if they don't crave it, it's also still something that you think is valuable. Now, I would never condone doing business with an unknown expat. I would never condone taking face value medical advice from another expat or legal advice from another expat at face value. All right? Their advice is sometimes no better than Google, which can be radically wrong, as you're well aware. All right? I mean, the real results of what you get when you Google something can be 25 spots down. And half a dozen of the first spots are absolutely ads that are sponsored and have absolutely no relative value to you. Well, maybe half a dozen of the first expats you meet are going to be that way too. But my point is what do you give up? And why is that negative? And I think we've made that point. You give up the ability to have that instant flowing conversation, and you don't have input other than your own. And you need that. I need that. I need to know that my opinion is still valid in my mind, because maybe I'm wrong. It happens. Okay? I mean, it happens to all of us. I'm not making some tongue-in-cheek statement. We all are subject to being wrong. And in addition to that, those of us that are older, maybe we've had a little bit of a memory lapse, or things have changed. I may have learned something one way, and nowadays the best way is different. I need that input, and so do you. And you will miss it, most of you, unless you're absolutely isolationist. Now, if you are an isolationist, please don't think I'm picking on you by any way, shape, or means. There are a lot of reasons that some people prefer to stay away from expats. There are expats that refuse to be around other expats based on religion, culture, color, nationality. And then there are other expats that refuse or do not like to be around any expat. Their reasons are their own. I can't comment on it. It just is what it is. But what I can say is I had a thoroughly engaging conversation this morning, as I have had many times in the past. And I started to dawn on me, I've been seeing a lot of people saying they don't want to be around other expats. Well, I'll tell you, this morning's conversation proves to me that being and having the opportunity to engage in conversation, stimulating conversation with other expats that are knowledgeable and able to voice their opinion in a reasonable manner is great. And I wouldn't give it up for anything. And I'm going to continue to have breakfast as I have for years. Okay? I'm not going to slow it down, even if I didn't have anybody to talk to. So thanks so much. We hope you enjoyed it. Hey, look, please do subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. We really need that thumbs up. I'm trying to grow the channel. I have a personal goal I'd like to hit by January 1. And hit that notify bell. Otherwise, put your comments below. We want your We want your comments. What do you think about it? Do you abhor being around other expats? Or are you just simply selective about the expats that you're around? Do you particularly hate or abhor being around certain kinds of expats, races, or cultures? Let's talk about it. I'd like to know. I'd like to know what it is you think about it and why you, if you are an isolationist, why you want to continue to be an isolationist. I don't know but a few expats that speak fluent Tagalog. And quite frankly, I don't know any expats that speak fluent Bisaya or Waray or Kampangan or any one of the other 170 dialects in the Philippines. So don't give me your bullshit excuse of I'm being a Filipina. I'm integrating into their society. You can't even carry on a conversation. And legally, you got to watch your mouth about what kind of conversation you carry on. You can't have a conversation downgrading anything Filipino without getting subject to being reported to the NBI. So, tell us what you think. Otherwise, please do subscribe. Please do hit that thumbs up. And more important than anything, have a great day.